you might be missing some of the benefits that stereo can provide.
Hi guys, Captain Paladin up here, and welcome to another edition of Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. In the last episode, we virtually completed the biggest quest there ever is when it comes to archery. Even worse than a shooting gallery, but we just got a heart piece, gold skulltula, and maybe a larger quiver with holds up to 50 arrows, And in this episode, we are going to the next temple of the game, which is, we're going to the Shadow Temple. We're going to go ahead and just leave this Hyrule Valley behind for a while, and we're going to continue on our merry way, excuse me. And we're just going to race across Hyrule Valley, and I'm actually excited doing this temple, because I know my friend Mara is actually looking forward to this temple. It says it's her favorite. Well, I don't know if you're going to like me whenever I do this commentary. Given that, yes, it is like spooky and horror and all that stuff, but my commentary isn't really going to reflect that at all a little bit. So, but we're going to enter Kakariko Village here. Make sure we got our potioned up fairly well, because we're going to need lots of magic here. Make sure we're going to probably go ahead and get a blue potion, because I want to go ahead and fill myself up before we actually go ahead and go ahead and use my fairy up. Go ahead and get another fairy, because I want it to be fully powered up. Alright, we got ourselves another fairy. Always good to have. But now, we're going to get to some serious commentary, and I must warn you again, just like the Fire Temple, where I kind of went off the deep end, maybe with political correctness and stuff, we're actually going to go ahead and talk about what I think may be an important temple of the entire game. Go ahead and play the Nocturne of Shadow. And take us to the graveyard. Now, I'll warn again, this commentary is going to be very serious. And if you don't want to listen to it, feel free to mute it. But I will go ahead and rate this as PG-13 kind of commentary. Once again, we go ahead and lit these torches here. We see the Eye of Shikaya over here, the door, and raising up here. And go ahead and get certain items. We need a hook shot, and pretty much that will be it for now. We probably need the Lens of Truth to start out as well. Now, this first part is really, we're going to see some dialogue here, which I'm kind of like, the shadow will yield only to the with the Eye of Truth handed down in Kakariko Village. Well, we're not going to worry about this statue yet, because we're going to go ahead and go through here first. Because we know that the secret of these skulls, you're supposed to find out which is the real skull here. Fire Temple or Dennis Fire might help you. And I have yet to find the reason why I used that, but whatever. And you get these creepy dialogues that says, one who gains Eye of Truth will be able to see what's hidden in darkness, okay? Well, of course. I mean, that's what we had to use to get here. Well, look through this door. Shadow Temple. Here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. Okay. And in this first room, we run into already some Gibdo or a Redead, and probably should have done that because of the keys. Oh, damn it! Refill on magic. I believe this is our first big chest that's coming up here. And that will be our map here. You might want to use it. Pretty much. Alright. Go ahead and open her up. Now, they already mentioned one thing about Hyrule's past of greed and hatred. And I'm gonna say that this is this theory. Shadow Temple. Here is gathered Hyrule's bloody history of greed and hatred. Now, given that the history of Shikaya has always been able to protect the royal family, because that's what the flying pots, that was what this symbol was in front of the door, was a Shikaya. And apparently this is their temple. And my theory is, and this is grasping at straws a little bit, given that we already know, if you ever played Majora's Mask, that, you know, Hyrule it's been rumored that Hyrule and Termina were at war with each other, because there were, you know, like those pillars, like west of Clock Town, there were, oh, here we come to something. This is the battle we never got to see in the bottom of the well. Well, look at here. He's back. I told you we'll be fighting him again. A dead hand. Virtually, you just gotta attack his head. That's all. Nothing to it. The only reason, the best thing is, you just gotta let him grab you, but at the same time, let him approach you and just take him out. Try a spin attack here. Oh, that was quite effective. Wow. But back to what my story was. Given that we have already seen clues of a war between Hyrule and Termina on the, you know, there was like pictures of a Triforce being mocked, you know, like a political cartoon. And ancient Terminians were never that fond of the goddesses because, you know, they had these pillars that looked like, had like Triforces on the bare asses of ancient Terminians, you know, long ago. And given that, having said that, I don't know why I just did that. Having said that, one might think that since Hyrule has amounted so much power, one had to assume that Hyrule was once probably like Nazi Germany at one point, where it had immense so much power, and this, kind of looks like if you were wanting to send people like to a prison like this, because this is what it is. It looks like a prison. Make my beak face. Alright, so basically what you gotta do here is use your skull eye of truth here, and you gotta point his beak to that skull that's only the one that's visible when you use the eye of truth here. But this is, I guess, what you call the equivalent of gulag, almost. A gulag where, the Shikaya were probably once, gulag is a Russian term, yes. But this is virtually a Gestapo, or some sort of, like, concentration camp for those that were enemies towards the Triforce. And you gotta use your boots here. The one that you gathered from the dead hand to walk across here. But this is meant to be horrifying for a reason, because this was a prison, more or less. This was a prison for a gulag for those who are, enemies to Hyrule at one point. And one can argue that in the Minish Cap, Vati was one of these foes too. And he was, sent to one of these gulags too. I'm getting my Germany and Russia and history so much. And those are Gibdos. Redeads, almost like Redeads. But yeah, I mean, given any major power that ever had slavery, might have had slavery in its history, given like the United States has. Even in the cotton plantations, they had, the slaves were in these kind of houses where, like torture chambers and where the room where it had like knives and whips and stuff like that. And look out for this guy. That is a, you've seen one of those before, like a thing, those ice fans back in the ice cavern. All you gotta do is duck to avoid those blades. But given that something has happened that Hyrule is not really proud of, and one would bury such an event like this, because would you want your country to be embarrassed if someone found out that this existed? And this is just remains of an old prison, more or less. Ouch, ouch, ouch. And one can call this a concentration camp by Nazi Germany, or ouch, or a gulag, a Soviet gulag, where your political enemies were. And of course, Termina, they were enemies to Hyrule. I mean, if you ever saw the Stone Tower Temple, that was, you've seen that as, someone who didn't really had no respect for the gods whatsoever. So, yeah. I mean, this is, it's very difficult to sort of, talk about this, because, this, one, don't ever want to bring up an issue like slavery or the Holocaust or anything that has suggested a major power had ever been arrogant as it has been. And Hyrule, has had a history. I mean, just like our own country, with slavery. And the way we went to other countries and invaded. Look out above you. Okay. You gotta watch out for these. But yeah, it's a very touchy subject, I understand, because I know there's a few people who might be issue sensitive to this, but Hyrule, ouch, you damn bastard. Jeez, I hate you. Ugh. But I wonder if no one was really meant to actually pick that up, because you see guillotines right here. Guillotines were used for torture chambers and stuff like that, and executions, more or less. Oh, damn it, you bastard! Yeah, get out of my way. People who went down to this thing never returned. And remember when Sheik said that oh, watch out, watch out. Damn Wallmaster bastard. But apparently Hyrule was, I don't think it was meant to be picked up as such, but one had to think that this Hyrule was not as perfect as people wanted to believe. Especially those, like that. I'm gonna deal with this. I have to deal with all this crap again. Man, I'm gonna take out this bastard. But yeah, it's hard to think that the country that you love so much can do so much wrong, especially when we have poverty still in our country. Are poor people the rich man's slaves or something like that? You gotta ask that question or something. But who knows? Who's to know? The people who are wealthy will never admit that they're doing anything wrong, because one, they have the money. I watched an episode of, or watched a talk this morning, and Polly Perrette, she plays Abby, the forensic scientist at NCIS. You gotta use your magnifying glass just to get through this here. And the Navi's pointing to something invisible, so we're going to play the Song of Time here. But Polly Perrette, she has been on NCIS for like 10 years. She's an actress, a very distinguished actress, I think. But she, in real life, she fits her character very well. Because, she plays someone who's basically goth and has always worked in her character as Abby. She not only just put away killers for the rest of their lives or something like that. Get rid of this bat here. But she works in her spare time, as a friend, as a works at a shelter for the elderly and makes sandwiches for the poor. Well, in real life, as rich as she is, as an actress, she, in real life, does the same thing. She works for the poor. And she works for homeless shelters and also for those who are starving and stuff like that. And here's our Golden Skulltula. But given that this is basically, you know, one distinguished actress who is rich, who's helping the poor, well, not many other countrymen feel the same way about helping the poor like she does, more or less. But I think we're going to go ahead and end the episode here, because we're getting close to 21 minutes, and I want to sort of end things off right here. And I hope the commentary wasn't too, you know, out there, but I mean, I had a lot to say, though, too, but go ahead and make a warp point here, so that in case something happens, I don't need to worry about going too far off. But, you know, just gotta go across here. But in the next edition of The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time, we're going to continue to Shadow Temple. So, this is Captain Paladin LP here, signing off. Thank you very much for listening, watching.